What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I'm your co-host CJ, here with my lovely co-host ZD on this Monday, December 8th night. We haven't been recording our Saturday episodes, but been trying to get these Mondays and Wednesday pods for y'all. But we got a decent amount to talk about. NBA Cup games are coming up this week, so the NBA has kind of spaced out these games a lot. So we only have
Yeah,
3 games tonight, and I think we have 4 games tomorrow, something like that. We haven't
2 tomorrow, 2 the day
2 of the
after.
day after,
So,
and then on
or 2 days.
obviously the Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday are the cup games, so we have that to look forward to. But how are you doing tonight, ZD, on this Monday evening?
Man, I'm sure at the job, you've been hearing the Christmas music constantly 24/7. That's been a thing for me recently. It puts me in a good spirit. Why not be in a good mood? You know what I'm saying? For no reason. If you can be in a bad mood for no reason, you can be in a good mood for no reason. So I'm feeling good, man. Lakers 2-1 over the last three. We did end up losing to the hated Boston Celtics, and we'll chop it up about that a little bit later. They've been on a heater recently. I mean, Jalen Brown looks very, very good, All NBA potentially. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard getting involved. A lot of good stuff though that I've seen from my team. Luka Doncic having a baby, getting to spend some time with my girl. Very appreciative, man. My statement jersey came in too, man. It's been a long time coming on that, bro. It
Facts,
took me like a
facts.
whole year to get a Luka's jersey, and I feel like if I lived in Cali, I would have been had it. But first time I got it, got back ordered, and then they just refunded me, and then I was like, let me try again this year, bro, and get my size. So that came in the mail. So just excited all the way around. But what about you, dog? How you feeling?
Feeling good, bro. We chopped it up a little bit before we started recording, but I just went on a camping trip with the boys, Alex, Zach, Drake, and then their significant others. We ended up going to Inks Lake, so it was cool. It was a cool little vibe. I'm not like the camping type of guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like a city
Good, bro.
boy, but I like going out there, hanging out with the boys, and just enjoying each other's company. So that being said, I wasn't really able to watch a lot of these games. Kept up with the score, kept up with who went off, who was doing these things, and this and that, but just wasn't able to sit down and watch it how I usually would. So that's my fault. But I think just being able to take some time and spend time with your significant others and go out and like I did, go camping or go and enjoy each other's company. I feel like it's
Stuff. Touch
something that
grass.
doesn't get, yeah, go touch grass, just
Yeah.
something we don't talk about a lot, but just enjoying those moments, because you don't get a lot of those, and being able to get a group of people all together is always a fun time, and just enjoying each other's company, bro. So that's how I've been. Came back yesterday, worked today at 6, and we got home around like 1 p.m. yesterday, so we had time to relax and kind of wind down. But I was sleeping in my car, bro, and it was a little cold, but I was pretty warm, but it was just the way I was sleeping, just very uncomfortable. So being able to sleep in my bed when I got home yesterday was incredible, and I did not want to wake up, bro. But besides that, Thunder were able to get 2 dubs, and we're on a 15-game win streak now. We're 23-1. Um, we've been talking about it all year. It's kind of hard to really talk about how the Thunder have been playing because they have been playing so well. I guess you were saying that one of the pods that you watched, they said that you can analyze their close wins, and I think
Yes.
that's a funny way of going
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, no, man, like I said, I wasn't really able to watch it. Saw the scores, saw that we were able to take care of business against the Mavs. They've been having emergence players of like Ryan Nemhard and Brandon Williams, who are stepping up in the absence of Kyrie Irving and AD on certain days. But seeing what they've been able to do, they were actually on a 3-game win streak, so this was good momentum for them to try to see what they're made of, I guess, going
But
against us. But yeah, no, we were able to take care of business, bro, and I think it just solidifies what we've been able to do, bro. Like I said, one of the better defensive teams in the league. We're able to put up 132 points. I think that kind of speaks for itself. But we weren't following game. We didn't play Shea, so this is his first game he missed this season. 24 games in, sitting out. for his first game. You know, it's shout out to the boy. I feel like that gets overlooked a lot, but you know, he's someone we could rely on. So the fact that he didn't play this game relied heavily on J Dub, Chet, AJ Mitchell,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously a lot of the bench unit, Aaron Wiggins, you know, everyone that has
Mhm.
been able to step up this whole season. So obviously it makes a difference when he's not in our lineup. But I think with the guys that we have, the type of roster that we've been built up throughout these you know, past couple of seasons, we've been able to see what they've been able to do even when we don't have, you know, our second best player, our best player in our lineup, or even fourth, fifth best player. You know, we have just that
Yeah, bro.
mentality of next man up, and we're able to do so much to be able to, you know, find out how to win. So, bro, yeah, that's. I mean, you know, won't go into too much about the analysis because there's not really much, but you know, I wanted to bring that up. Shea ends up getting, I think, 95 straight games
Yeah.
of 20 or more. I think he was already in second. Now he's strongly in second, still trying to go for that 126 that Will has held for 50 plus years.
15
But
years. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's been incredible, bro. Incredible season. You know, it's kind of one of those things where, you know, like I said, we talk about it. We've been talking about, you know, the record, this and that, and I think it for a fan of the team that is one like would be willing to see that type of history be made. I still am more worried about the chip, bro. Honestly, that's where I'm
Yeah.
at. Like,
Yeah.
even if we somehow, you know, we end up falling off or falling off in a couple games in the season, not end up breaking the record, whatever. If we could win back to back, that would mean probably just as much to me, honestly. Like it would be incredible for to have both, of course, but if we break the record and still don't win, it would be kind of like a not a lost season, of course, because you I would appreciate it, but it doesn't mean anything without the ring. You know what I mean? I feel like that's something that I'm kind of feeling towards this season, the way it's been going, the way we've been looking. And I know that some people have been talking about, oh, well, the Thunder should rest and you know, they shouldn't worry about that record, worry about winning the championship. I think with us, it's kind of different. Like, we're not, our team hasn't been healthy all season, and we haven't even seen what our roster is at full, you know, complete health, you know. So I think with the guys going out playing, yeah, they're going to get tired, but at the same time, we're still missing, you know, a player here, a player there each game. So it's not like everyone is just putting their foot on the gas, going 120% each game. You know, we've been having players in and out the lineup to where they're trying to ease their way back to the rotation or keep the minutes that they've been playing throughout the rotations you know, in a good cycle. So it's just kind of, you know, I see where they're coming from with it because of course, but you know, I still think with the roster that we haven't been healthy all year. So we haven't even played all of our players to their max potential as of late. So I'm just excited, bro. Just like I said, not really much to talk about, but ready to see what this, you know, what we end up looking like heading into All Star break and see, you know, who's gonna be able to, you know, suit up for the All Stars for us. So excited to
Yeah,
see, bro.
I'll probably have 2, maybe 3,
But yeah,
maybe.
maybe
Probably
three,
2 for
two for
sure,
sure.
but 2 for sure. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think if people who've been watching us for the last 6 months, a year, we appreciate you first off. But second of all, you guys know we're Thunder Lakers fans. I think for CJ to come on here and like regurgitate the same because they're I mean, look at their net rating. They're number one in everything. They're number one in defensive efficiency. I think they also have the best point differential. Like we were chopping it up about that in the NBA Cup because we know that's coming up recently. But I think they have the best point differential in NBA Cup history as well. Now they just keep breaking so many records. So at this point, it's tough, for him to come on the show and be like, "Oh, well, we won by 30, but here's this, this, and this." Like, I think you guys should just watch it. I think history's kind of unfolding in front of your eyes, and you can do like what you want with that information. Clearly, the Thunder are far and away the best team. I think every team, all 29 other teams in the NBA know that. Every single day, we try to. Anytime we play the Thunder, any team, you can ask them. It's a get up game. Even if the Jazz, we got smashed last night. I saw Will Harding on Twitter was just cursing them out. He was pissed at their effort, and I think it goes to show you how NBA teams are really lining up to play the defending champs. And I think it's cool how your team is in this situation. You've been in the dark, you've waited a long time. I think it's just about enjoying greatness and appreciating what's in front of you. And, Mavericks came in on a win streak. They did beat the Rockets. They've played a lot better the last few games. You talked about Ryan Nembhard and Cooper Flag. Bro, they got canceled out immediately in this game, man. I
Mhm.
think AD didn't finish. I think he got a bucket in the fourth quarter, but
Mhm.
he was scoreless for the first three quarters. And then the Jazz game, J-Dub and Chet, man, I think Chet had like 2 blocks, of steal, 25. J-Dub with 25 as well. They just have so many different potent weapons that they can choose to go to on any given night. And so props to the Thunder. Uh, yeah, man, I think you're in the midst of a historic run, and probably touch on it a little later. We'll firmly talk about it, but it is interesting to see where your squad is at. But my team, man, on the 4th, December 4th, we ended up playing the Raptors, man. We beat them 123-120. We didn't have Luca for this matchup. He was a late scratch because he ended up having a kid. So props to him. That's a really special accomplishment. Obviously, being a dad is really cool. Something that CJ and I probably want to be one day. So yeah, he wasn't in the game for this one. Yeah, but we look good, bro. I think Emmanuel quickly was playing very well in that first quarter. Austin Reeves looked great. Talked about it a lot, but he continues to improve his ball screen navigation. I don't know how it gets better and better as the game goes on, but I guess that's just the case with him, man. His development is could be a podcast in itself. But I think in this game, I think he finished with 36 points. Or I think you think he had more than that. I think he had 44 points. Sorry, and he
Mhm.
finished with 36 against the Celtics. But I think he had 40 in this game. And again, just his assists, his offensive creation looked great. 67, 58 after the first half. But jumping into the third quarter, unfortunately, the Raptors blew us away, man. I think they had 40 in this quarter behind Scotty Barnes. I think Barnes had 2, 3 layups in this one. They really put a lot of pressure on the paint, and it's something that's been an Achilles heel for us. We've been giving up a ton of paint touches, and teams have been able to utilize that get out, spray out to open shooters. We know Toronto has been playing with a little more juice recently, one of the more competitive teams in the East. Really, the story of this game, man, was LeBron, obviously, scoring 8 points. We know that streak came to an end, the 1,297 games that is. But the play of the game, man, was that assist to Rui Hachimura in the corner for the game-winning buzzer beater. I think Austin Reeves called him into a ball screen, came off the ball screen, swung it to Braun. Braun drove to his right, sprayed it out to Rui Hachimura, who was in the left-hand corner, and he ended up hitting the shot, bro. At the buzzer, obviously, so it was kind of a heartbreaking loss for Toronto. But I think this game was just about grit. And I did tell CJ this. I think this is a great snapshot of who we are. Again, we are not always the best offensively. We're not always the best defensively. That's for sure. We're not going to shoot the highest percentages or whatever, but we're going to find ways to win games, even if that means LeBron having to sacrifice his streak. I think it kind of goes to show you the selflessness of him. I think he was 0 of 5 from deep in this game. Really didn't. I don't think he attempted a free throw. It was just not one of his games, bro. I think
Mhm.
we shot 13 of 31 from deep, only 42% from three, but we did shoot 22 of 26 from the line. And so, CJ, I've spoken to you about this before, but the Lakers do a great job of getting to the line, and we did a great job of getting to the line in this one. So we ended up beating Toronto in this matchup. Like I said, Austin Reeves again, man, just blows me away with his offensive creation, what he can do off the ball screens, and LeBron coming up clutch and Rui Hachimura, Jake LaRavia, Nick Smith Jr. as well. I think LaRavia, this was the game that we ended up having, I think, 36 total bench points too. This was over the last 3 games our highest scoring bench scoring output. Our bench has been horrible this season, and I think this was a great snapshot of how we can play as a team. So I think this was a good game that we can kind of point back to whenever we go on towards the end of the season and be like, this is how we should play 24/7. But then we had a back-to-back on the 5th. We ended up playing Boston. We lost 105-126 in this one. No Doncic for the second straight matchup. And then we also had LeBron out with the sciatic nerve injury, still bothering him a little bit. We got outscored 17-39 in the first quarter, and Boston never trailed. They led by 29 points in this one, I think, at one point during the second quarter. When I was watching this game, I mean, my God, we got blitzed. Jaylen Brown looks great. He ended up finishing with 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. I think Derek White also had 5 3-pointers too. I think he finished with like 19 or 20 points. And then Jordan Walsh, bro. I mean, he's the story for the Celtics over these last couple games, but I think he had like 17 points in this one. They've won I think they won 4 straight. against us now. If I'm not mistaken, we have not beaten the Celtics in a little while, so that was not good. And I think they also had a season high in three-pointers. I think they had 24 threes in this one, um, 31 assists. So their offense was really humming. Austin Reeves had 36 points again in this one. He was the only Laker who could really find his rhythm. Since we did not have LeBron and Luka in the lineup, I think we expected a little bit more from Rui. We expected a little bit more from Laravia and things like that. We just didn't get it. And I turned this game off, man, because I think I was really disappointed with the defensive effort. Again, giving up 126 points to a team who is humming offensively right now over the last 5 games, but there's just no excuse to be giving up that many points in back-to-back games, man. And it's something I've been telling you that's been getting on my nerves, but we just can't seem to dissuade paint touches. We give up straight line drives. The Celtics are going to kill you in that regard, man. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams of the last decade. So we need to be better about that. I think, at this level in the season, you kind of are what you are with your defensive matchups. And our assignments have been blown so many times that it worries me that when we get into the playoffs, we're not going to be able to play against the Thunder, play against the Nuggets, and our defensive coverages are going to be all screwed up. But just not a good showing from us. I know we played 5 games in 7 nights leading up to this point, so we played a ton of basketball. I think we just ran out of gas in that second quarter. And again, man, I mean, when the Celtics are in this situation for a reason. They're defending champs, not defending champs, but they had won championships in the last 2-3 years. I think Jason Tatum being out has actually helped Derek White, a Peyton Pritchard, and I think it showed in that game. Like they're confident enough to feel like they can score 40 on any given night. And the Celtics are really good, bro. And we're going to talk about them later in the pod, but wanted to give them their props. They maybe turn it off, but the
Mhm.
game last night, bro, crazy. Again, this was a really good W. But it was the LeBron game. LeBron, obviously, in the fourth quarter. But yeah, we ended up beating the Sixers in a thriller, 112-108. This was last night. LeBron and Luka were finally back in the lineup. I think it was tied after the first quarter. Tyrese Maxey came out blitzing, hit a couple threes, big layups, and I was like, oh, here we go. I think JJ called timeout, bro. And I was like, the defense again, man. Just like we don't have anybody who can step up and freaking guard, bro. And I was telling you this. I think one of the reasons why the Thunder are so dangerous this year is they just have a lot of different pieces that they can throw at an opposing team's best player. We just don't have that. So Maxey was getting involved early. I think Paul George and Edgecombe also putting pressure on the paint. I think Luka and Austin Reeves were 3 of 15 in 2 quarters. Nobody could shoot the ball, fam. I know Luka finished with a 30-point triple double. When you look at the box score, you're going to see the 31, 15, and 11 and think he did great. I think he was 9 of 24 from the field, bro.
Mhm.
Like, we couldn't hit a shot. We really, really struggled to get it going from the field. But our defense showed up, man. We locked up. I think in the third quarter, we went on a little run, a little 9-1 run because our defense was playing so well. They were saying on the broadcast, this is really the best defensive showing we've had in the last 2 weeks. And so it was really good to see because that was something I was harping on and I was worried about it in the first quarter. I was like, here we go, man. It's going to be another 120, 130 game. But we started to pick up the defensive pace in that third quarter. Jackson Hayes looks really good anytime he comes in the game, especially on the defensive side. I think he really holds down the paint. He had a nice block on Tyrese Maxey. Like Maxey went up for a little layup. He sent that. I was like, let's go,
Yeah.
bro. That made me stand up for sure. Like,
Mhm.
because I want to see defense. I know we can score, man. And Austin Reeves didn't have a great game, but like I said, the LeBron James game, man. I think he finished with an efficient 29 points, went 8 of 12 in the first half, and then in the fourth quarter, man, went on 11-0 run by himself. Um, I mean, what more can you say, man? At age 41, to go on an 11-0 run by yourself, hitting back-to-back triples, getting to the mid-range, also getting to the line a little bit. I think it speaks to where LeBron is at as a player. And then I wanted to touch on this last play of the game, man. Called a timeout. I think Nick Nurse called a timeout, drew up an inbounds play. LeBron already knew it, and he was telling everybody where to go, and he ended up getting a steal to cap off the 112-108 win. And Embiid just didn't have a great game in this one. I think he was 3 of 16 from the field. Really struggled to get it going. His rhythm has looked like crap since he came back from the injury. I don't know what it is, but we all know and love Joel Embiid. And when he's healthy, he's one of the most dangerous, more dominant players in the NBA. I think in the fourth quarter, the reason it was so close was because he was finally getting to the line, getting Ayton on some cheap fouls. But DeAndre Ayton is the beneficiary of Luka Doncic. I don't think he missed a shot in this game. Finished with 17 points, 10 boards, another double double for him. And like we said, man, his death taxes in 14 and 10. Yeah, man, we're kind of clicking on all cylinders right now. The net rating says that we should be a worse team, but I think our record speaks to the growth that we've had throughout the season. And looking forward to the NBA Cup, man. We got this game on Wednesday against the Spurs, and Wembanyama is going to be back, and I just want to see us lock up, bro. I'm not concerned with the offensive output. I think the game against the Celtics was just we didn't have our stars in, so we're not going to score that many points.
Hmm.
But in general, when we are fairly healthy, I think we're one of the better offensive teams in the league. So I think we'll give the Spurs a run for their money. But yeah, last three games, man, I was pretty locked in. Like I said, I got the Luka jersey, so I was feeling jolly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the way that I think right now in the NBA schedule, just in general, to close this put a bow on the topic, but it's slowing down. You know, we've had a lot of games. All the teams have played like 5 games in 7 nights. You know, 4 games in 5 nights, whatever the case may be. Now we have the NBA Cup. Tomorrow we got I think the Magic and the Heat go. Like a couple of
Hmm.
these teams that we want to see. We want to see on a big stage like this. So I'm excited to get to this week and kind of get through this week. And I know we only play once on Wednesday, and I know you guys only play once too. But just for 17 and 6, I think 23 and 1.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, almost. I mean, guys, like we're almost at 50 wins as two teams put together already, and we're not even a quarter of the way through.
Hmm.
So I'm really happy with where our teams are at.
Yeah, bro. It's like a storybook season so far for both of our teams,
So
honestly.
far,
Being able to
yeah.
see us be competitive even with down players, without our best players in, role players
Hmm.
stepping up, big time player, rotation players that are, showing that they belong in the league. It's been dope. I feel like it's like you said, we don't have much to complain about on the winning side of the games, but we have this NBA Cup coming up, bro. I feel like it's gonna be dope for us. Our team could potentially be going against each other, so gotta see what that ends up looking like, bro. But yeah, no, it's I think we could go into some of our stories of the week, right? Or our matchups, our matchups.
You want to go through the
Let's go to
matchups?
the matchups real quick since there's not that
All
much.
right. Yeah,
We
bro. I can do this the 6 and the 6:30. You can do the 7,
but
but I think we're 7:30 Central right now. So these games are we only have 3 games on the slate. That's cool. Like I said, the schedule is slowing down, so I think it just gives like the media, the players, obviously time to breathe. We got a lot of covering to do. But first game was at 6. This was an hour and a half ago. Kings versus Pacers. I think the Pacers are without Quentin Jackson, Cam Jones, Ben Shepherd, Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin. The Kings are going to be missing Domantas Sabonis. Keegan Murray and Dennis Schroeder were listed as game time decisions, so hopefully they ended up going. Some of the storylines for this matchup, bro. The Sacramento Kings have a net rating of minus 7.8 over their last 5 games, good for 22nd in the NBA over that span. Zach LaVine had 42 points last night. You probably heard about it, maybe seen some highlights.
mhm,
I think the Kings' offense right now is starting to find a little bit of a groove. We've seen Malik Monk play a little bit better, but that net rating, I think it's more about their defense. They just haven't been able to guard anybody. I think they're bottom third in the NBA right now in defensive rating over the last 5 too. So that makes perfect sense. I think their offense is good, but it's not good enough like the Lakers, where they're scoring 120 points per 100 possessions to outscore teams when they can't guard anybody. So I
mhm,
think that's kind of why their net rating is that low in this moment. The Pacers, though, on the other hand, have a plus 3.9 net rating over their last 5. They're ninth in the NBA over that span. The Pacers slowly been playing a lot better, bro.
mhm,
Pascal Siakam having a quiet career best season. And yeah, dude, like I think for the responsibility that was placed on his shoulders without Tyrese Halliburton, you got to be happy with his production. He's been one of the healthier players in the lineup. I don't think we've had him in the injury report a ton. We've
mhm.
had a lot of Pacers on the injury report, and Siakam hasn't been there.
Yep.
And then they got Nemhard back, bro.
Mhm,
Matherin. You kind of see the remains of the finals team that we had a year ago. So I think that kind of speaks to their net rating over the last 5. The Kings are also, I said this, they're a little bit worse on defense. I think they're giving up 118 points per 100 possessions right now. And then the Pacers are 14th in defensive net rating, so they're giving up 115 points per 100 possessions. So, yeah, I think this matchup is kind of bottom of the barrel. There is some excitement though with it being in the field house. I think that stadium's always rock or that arena's always rocking, and I think Pacers have deep roots of great basketball. But yeah, I'm not super excited about this matchup. I think there's some trade talks as well with Sabonis and Levine and DeRozan, and we'll have to see, man. The Kings going to blow it up. I think as of right now, they have to clean up their defensive issues if they want to make a push for the plan. I think Levine, though, I think Levine's going to have a good game, and I think Pascal's going to have a good game. I'm not sure of the score, but I'd have to go with the Pacers in this one, man. I think 3.5 on the spread. So give me the Pacers at home. I feel like they'll be able to get it done. I think when Nemhard, Mathurin, and Siakam are in the lineup, I think that's a better core than Sabonis, Levine, and DeRozan right now, as crazy as that seems. So give me the Pacers. What do
Mhm.
you think?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Pacers too, bro. Just with the Kings looking very dysfunctional, not looking like they are in a good flow at all with their offense. And like you said, their defense specifically don't really have anyone out there to defend. I mean, like you said, scoring wise, Malik Monk has been looking a lot better. We know what Zach Levine can do. Same with DeRozan, but when they're all out there on the court at the same time, it's just not a good mix with each other. So I'm leaning towards the Pacers. They have been doing a lot better than what they had been up to the last time I think we talked about them. They had won like 2 games or something, I think, or like 1 game, whatever it was. So ended up getting a couple
Yeah.
more wins for their season. But like you said, we are slowly starting to see what that roster looked like last season, obviously without Tyrese Halliburton, but everyone is slowly starting to get back to a lineup because that's been something they've been having to deal with all years, injuries and injuries to key rotational players that were a huge factor to why they even made it to the finals last year. So I'm going with them as well. They're currently beating them 66-53 in halftime. So think
Makes
that was a
sense.
good.
All right. All right. Well, we're about to see if they can finish them off. But
Mhm.
going into the next slot, 6:30, Suns T Wolves. The Suns are going to be without Devin Booker and Jalen Green, crazy, and Isaiah Livers. I think Dylan Brooks was listed as a game time decision, so hopefully he ended up going. The T Wolves didn't have any listed injured players, so good for them. They're a healthy team. That's pretty rare right now in this day and age. But going into the storylines, man, the Timberwolves over the last 5 games have an offensive net rating of 124.4. That's fourth in the NBA over that span. They're also fourth in the NBA in true shooting, shooting 64.1% from the field. So true shooting is your 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, and field goal percentage all put together, divided. Obviously, kind of shows the totality of how you're shooting as a team in all categories.
Mhm.
They're humming on offense. DiVincenzo, Edwards, Randall, and Jaden McDaniels. Man, I think we've spoken about that a couple podcasts that haven't dropped yet, but he's been to me their X factor this year and really taking that leap. We know Anthony Edwards is already playing at an MVP level, and Julius Randle's already playing at an All NBA level. I think Jaden McDaniels has come in. I think he's averaging a career high in points right now and also 3-point percentage. He's been in a lot more of effective of a player. We know the two-way capability that he has, and I think they're in a good spot, dude. I think the Timberwolves have been kind of like they struggled out the gate. We know they're kind of going through the finish line with a little bit of sluggishness, but I think for them to be the Western Conference, they've been to the Western Conference Finals twice. I guess they're not defending a Western Conference Finals title because they didn't win it, but they've been there twice, so we've seen the capability that their team has, and I think they're starting to round into form. So watch out for that. The Suns, though, man, over the last 5 games, they got a net rating of minus 2.4, which is 19th in the NBA over that span. I think the question for me is, can they manage this game without Jalen Green and Devin Booker? Obviously, if Dylan Brooks doesn't end up going, that's going to hurt them a lot too. We'll see a lot of Gillespie and Mark Williams and guys like that, just trying to find other impact players, Royce O'Neal, that they can really fill in the gaps because you can't replace Devin Booker and Jalen Green scoring. It's just not going to be possible. So I think the Suns are going to have to do every possible thing to figure out how they can win this game if those guys are out of the lineup. And then, yeah, I mean, if Dylan Brooks does play, I think he's averaging 23 points per game without Booker and Green on the court. So he's going to be a go-to guy, go-to scoring option in this game. And I think Minnesota is going to have some interesting defensive assignments now that there's not really a superstar player they need to worry about guarding. So I think this is the most interesting game of the night to me. I'm gonna go with the upset, man. I'm gonna take the Suns. I feel like Gillespie, Brooks, like that team is just scrappy. I love it. I like the way they play. They
Mhm.
play tough defense and they hit threes. And I think when they catch fire, they're one of the tougher teams to beat, and they've competed with the Thunder. So give me the Suns, man, on the spread.
Okay, okay, I like that one, bro, because I feel like that's a good one, especially Jalen Green, Devin Booker being out. If they do have Dylan Brooks, that's really their star player, quote unquote, that they got. But what we've been able to see them, the way that the continuity that they have, the way that they've been playing off of one another, just it just looks more fluid, bro. It looks like they're like
Way
having
better.
fun, playing good defense, hard
Yeah,
nosed basketball. Knocking down big shots. I feel like that's obviously anything with a team, whenever how successful they are for a game, but they've been able to knock down their three pointers at a high clip in these past couple games. So seeing what they've been able to do, obviously the T Wolves are, with 1-2 punch of Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle is probably one of the better ones that we have in the league at this point. But I think it's like you said, seeing who's going to be the next person up to step up with them. Like you said, Jaden McDaniels has kind of been
yeah.
that guy that we've been seeing, but DiVincenzo has been shooting the lights out as well. So have potential. The T Wolves Serena, they get kind of popping over there in Minnesota. It's cold out there, so
Oh yeah,
it gets a little
cold
rowdy.
under the sun.
But I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of leaning towards the upset too, bro. I feel like the Suns are just gonna do it again because they've been kind of proving me wrong. I feel like they've been proving you wrong as well. Anytime that we see, oh, it's just Devin Booker or Devin Booker, Jalen Green's out or X players out, they still end up finding a way to win. So kind of
Exactly.
leaning into that, bro, because I feel like they've been proving it to us. These first quarter of the way into the NBA season at this point. So if it's not broke, don't face it. So I'm gonna stick with the Suns as well in this upset. Um,
They're up right now,
they're up right now.
46-43.
Mm, there you go. There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Going on to the next tip off, bro. We have the 7 o'clock tip off. We have the Spurs versus Pelicans. The Spurs are without Wemby and Jordan McLaughlin. Stephon Castle and Luke Cornett are listed as game time decisions. I think Stephon Castle ended up going. I don't know if Luke Cornett ended up going, but the Pelicans are without Jordan Poole, Zion Williamson, and DeJounte Murray. And Herb Jones is listed as a game time decision. So obviously the Pelicans been dealing with injuries
Hurt.
for this whole season. I feel like it's probably going to be something that we always talk about with the Pelicans at this point of their
For sure.
franchise. Always having somebody on the IR, man. Sadly, but some storylines for this game. The Spurs are 28th in the NBA in defensive rating in their last 5 games. They have 123.4 points per 100 possessions, and the Pelicans are 26th in the NBA in defensive efficiency in their last 5 games at 122.3 points per 100 possessions. So, can there be any
Golly.
defense? Can any defense be played in this game? We have two of
Yeah,
the bottom third defensive teams. Obviously, with Wemby
golly.
being out, Spurs are already going to be at a deficit on the defensive side of the ball, but I feel like they've been able to show us that they can compete at a high level. It just over the last couple games doesn't seem like it's all clicking. You're bringing in
Yeah.
your guard, your Dylan Harpers of the world, Stephon Castles are coming back. You're trying to get everyone acclimated to the lineup and all the rotations. So I think that might be something why. And obviously you don't have your anchor in the back holding it down, but obviously with the Pelicans, bro, it's a dumpster fire over there in New Orleans, sadly. So we'll see what they can do. Obviously, they got Derek Queen, Jeremiah
Yeah.
Fears there to kind of be their saving grace for their future. But as of right now, man, is defense going to be played? I'm gonna be honest, I doubt it. But I think it could be an exciting game. If the Pelicans, Trey Murphy, Jeremiah Fears, they could get it going. Derek Queen, they get it going on the offensive side. I think it might be a little more interesting. But if it's one of those where I think if they're not hitting their shots, it's gonna probably be a blowout. To be honest, because I don't really
I
see
agree.
the Pelicans really having enough juice to be able to keep up with the Spurs and even them not being at full health. I think they're a lot better team than what the Pelicans are at this very moment. So Yeah, Jeremiah Fears is averaging 18.4 points per game over and 4.2 assists per game over the last 5 games. He's slowly climbing the rookie ladder. I'm pretty sure this is one of the better rookie classes that I've seen, from top to bottom,
Oh,
really. Like, it just seems like
without a
depth
doubt.
wise, like obviously you kind of expect the top three, top five guys to kind of make an impact on your team. There's players that were drafted in the second round that are making a huge impact on their team, maybe even outside of the a little outside of the lottery. So fact that this draft class is so well and we have players like Jeremiah Fierce who are, slowly starting to figure things out. Even his teammate Derek Queen, who hasn't been as consistent, but we've seen what he can do, getting triple doubles at a 20 year old in the NBA. So think we have a lot of promise in this league, and the fact that we have Jeremiah Fears kind of slowly climbing up the ladder now at this point of the season. I think it's a good sign for what this class has to offer and what the rookie of the year race is going to look like in the future, because I think there could potentially be a player that we haven't really talked about these past couple of weeks that can kind of burst onto the scene with a
Yeah.
couple of months left. So we'll see, man. It's
So,
interesting, but I think this one's it's not going to be, if you look at it on paper, probably not going to be the greatest matchup, but I think it can be an exciting game just based off of the teams not playing defense alone. And I think if
I
they're hitting their
agree.
shots, then it can potentially be a shootout or it could potentially be a blowout. So hopefully we get some type of good game. We could
Yeah,
get a closer game than what, is expected. But I think this is, not the one that you're turning on all your TVs to watch, but one of those you might catch some good highlights, or someone could drop 40 on in this game. So we'll see, bro. But that kind of wraps up
I'm
all
gonna
the
take the
matchups.
Pelicans
Pels, you taking Pels?
for the one time. Why not?
Okay.
I mean, I think they if they do it, like no Wemby and anything can happen. That's kind of the way I see it. Both teams bottom third defensively. Give it to me. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
I think they're saving. I think also they play in the NBA Cup, so they're going to be
Yeah.
resting
They're kind
guys.
of yeah.
Kind of
They're
throwing that
the
there
Are they the only team in the NBA Cup that's playing this week?
today.
Besides,
Yeah,
yeah. Interesting.
kind of tough. I guess that I didn't think about that.
I
That's a
didn't. I
good
didn't think about that either.
observation. Yeah,
Oh,
they play today and then
they play
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting. But yeah, I got to go with the Pels. I think Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears, they get it done, and uh, they got to win sometime, right? They're not going to go 0-82.
Yeah. Let's hope not.
Hopefully not. Yeah,
Right. That'll be some bad
yeah,
basketball
not
we be talking about, really.
right. But yeah, I think we got some storylines of the week, man, and yeah, I'll let you kick it off, bro. I think the for what the Thunder have done, I I don't know. They're just on. I don't think they should be. I don't think they should have one loss.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it should be undefeated. I think them, the Warriors, and I forget the other team. I don't even want to say them. Maybe it was an older team,
I
but they were the only team you remember. It
I
was in like the 50s, 60s.
Was it the
You remember?
Celtics? I think it was the
I think it
Celtics.
was. Okay, I think it was the Celtics.
I think
Point is, those are the only other teams.
mhm.
You can look it up while I talk. But yeah, it's been a journey, man, for especially for like somebody like CJ and I'm not like a deep Thunder fan, but this is going back to the Shea trade, just to set the scene. Obviously, those first round picks and obviously turned into J Dub too, but Shea was the player in that trade, and I think it now you're starting to see the fruits of their labor. And Sam Presti has orchestrated a team that is on a pace to obliterate the current NBA record. And I mean, it would be a North American record. The 70 if they got 79 wins in an 82 game season, probably something we'll never see done before or ever again if that were to happen. So yeah, man, how are you feeling about Shea obviously being second in the MVP vote? And we haven't talked about that, but I think current ladder is Jokic, Shea, Doncic, which of course we had going into preseason
Mhm.
after 30 games. That's the case, or 25 games. That's the case. So how are you feeling about where your team's at, man? And you spoke about it a little bit earlier, so you don't have to go into it too long, but just the potential chance to break this record, and then obviously I want to hear some just one or two teams you think will give you some trouble in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, yeah, dude, it's I mean, you said it, just being able to, go through, and I'm not even trying to make it seem like I've been through a lot as a fan, right? But I feel like enough to really appreciate what is going on in front of me and
Never enough.
why I appreciate all of these games this season, even last year, historic run that we were able to make, bro. Just being able to like go through that, just seeing how good they are now, and we did it the right way. I have no heading into the season. I was telling this to you as well. Like I have no reason to think that we aren't going to potentially make it back to the finals again
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we have the same team. We're more mature. We're battle tested. We were able to get to the mountaintop, and now we're able to lift up that trophy. So it's like, as of this point right now, for me, there isn't a lot of teams that I consider like an actual competition, but like in a series, I would definitely say the Nuggets, bro. I mean, obviously they were the only team to take us to 7 besides the Pacers. They we pretty much throughout the whole season last year were really our, I wouldn't say only competition, because we've had, games where it was tightly contested throughout the whole year, but just what they were able to do, obviously with Jokic being, arguably the best player in the world, is kind of game planning for him. But with the way they've been looking, yes, they've been fired. We haven't played them this season, so I can't speak too much. Just based off of what I've seen, how the Nuggets have been playing as of late, especially some like their last 5 games. I would say they were playing against, not the greatest competition and still losing. I think it's just one of those,
yeah.
you're getting into the players are on your roster right now that were making a huge difference for you last season, and this year, you have the Aaron Gordons that have been missing time. Christian Brown is going to be missing time. You're having to have Peyton Watson step in and make big plays when he wasn't really that huge of a contributor last season. So it's like your expectations for your roster are a little bit different. You don't have MPJ anymore. You got Cam Johnson that hasn't really been able to do much this season. So
Much.
um obviously, I would
Good point.
say on paper this was Jokic's best team heading into this season. I think it reflects that on their offensive rating, right? Their efficiency. But
Yeah, they're
I
super.
still think if, series wise, they would be the team to give us problems. But besides that, I don't. There's not much, bro. Maybe Houston,
Yeah,
and I would say even y'all. But I think what we have on our with our bigs, I think that's something where our matchup for y'all is just a little. I mean, offensively, y'all can probably keep up
we
with
don't have
what.
the depth
It's
needed.
just the depth and and your defense, right? Like that's something we've always been talking about so much with the Thunder,
Can't
that
guard.
it's easy to, kind of not another team for them to kind of shoot themselves out of the game. You know what I mean, with the defense that we play. And I think, that being said, it's just matchup wise, I would say probably the Nuggets, just because of had them having Jokic and them kind of building around him. And obviously, if Jamal Murray keeps up this level, he's playing like this all season long, then that's going to be, a scary sight that anybody is going to have to see in the playoffs. Because I feel like they kind of get into different modes whenever playoff time hits. So I think that's probably the number one team. And then, like I said, potentially the Rockets. I mean, I definitely see the potential for a good series, and matchup wise, what they have. They have length and size, and they're able to score at a high efficiency as well. Um,
Yeah,
my only
so
thing
yeah,
is for them is like, what does that look like whenever we're actually like slowing them down and not having them able to have that hub of offense just with Sengun? What does that look like? Because you're gonna have to rely more than just on Sengun. Because I'm pretty sure we're probably going to double. We've seen,
yeah, yeah,
Coach
yeah.
Dayton not double Luca. I think they respect
So,
even
so he's
even
a double
K.
wing coach.
I would say even with KD or Sengun, we're probably gonna double certain points of the game. See what that looks like. But at this point, I would just say, I mean, it's it's the top offensive teams in the league, and I think that's something to beat the Thunder in a 7-game series, you have to be able to score. Obviously, that makes sense, right? But at an efficient level, and I think
Clip,
that
yeah.
the clip and them two teams being the top two teams right now, I think it's kind of not a bailout answer because I think that are also just one of the best teams in the league as well. But I think that's the only way that you can really keep up with us in that sense is you just have to be able to put up the points. And if we, I mean, my thing all season has been open threes, 3 pointers, and corner threes, stuff like that. If they are going to abuse our mismatches and be able to shoot those at a high clip, that is going to be how we lose games. You know what I mean? And how what makes the series more interesting than what they are. Because that's where it's a chess match. You know what I mean? You can only do
Yeah.
so much, and you have to adjust to all what the game gets like brought to you. So I think for sure Nuggets, bro. But besides that, I think it's something where
Yeah.
I think we are witnessing a dynasty, bro. Like this is what that looks like. And I think 23-1 starting off the season kind of speaks for itself. And like you said, that one loss, it should be a win. We lost that game. It wasn't the Trailblazers beating us. It's obviously they got to that point to where they were leading, but
They're competitive,
just the
right?
yeah, just that game alone, coming off the back to back, whatever, this and that. But that being said, I think that just kind of speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I feel like obviously I talk about it. We talk about it all the time, and
Yeah, we talk about
it's something we talk about for the podcast, but the's not really much to
good
say,
thing.
you know what I mean? And it kind of
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
speaks for itself. That's why it's like I just wish people were just kind of enjoying the moment for what it is because they could potentially be witnessing or they are witnessing history even if we don't end up breaking that win record or whatever it is, we when's the last time we saw a team go 23-1 in their first 24 games? The only other team was the Warriors that went 24-0. You know what I mean? And then it's another team that I had up, but it's just like stuff like that. Appreciating even if I wasn't a Thunder fan, I would appreciate if it was an X team winning this. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. I think it's for me, it's just loving basketball, seeing what makes them so good, and figuring out. Okay, well, obviously, I'm not like a GM or a owner. I'm not a coach of a team, but like, what could what could my team potentially do to get to this point? I think they've laid out a good blueprint. Obviously, you have to get lucky with the type of players you trade for and type of players that you have on your roster to be able to trade for a treasure trove of picks. You know what I mean? But
Picks like that,
it's stuff
right?
like that. Just being savvy and being a small market, being able to get these future assets that can be alter changing to your franchise. I think it's get being lucky, but also just being you know witty and understanding where you're at in your franchise's timeline. If yeah, kind of like your mentality, right? With Dynasty, it's like you for these first couple years, if I'm not the greatest, that's fine. I'm gonna have good draft picks to be able to build my team though. And I think that's a good way of going about it because you're not gonna be able to win every single season. You're gonna have to go through a quote unquote rebuilding phase of your timeline. But if what you're trying to get to in the long run is winning and that's what it takes, I think it's a good blueprint for a lot of small market teams to be able to, and honestly teams in general to try to build around. Obviously, like I said, all the cards have to land perfectly for you to be able to get to where the Thunder are at per se, but I think it's a good way for teams to be able to be successful in this NBA, so just appreciate the greatness, bro. Like I said, don't try to be, all hoorah, hoorah, the Thunder, but bro, it's hard not to. My team's good and they're showing it, and
Yeah,
there's nothing else I can really,
yeah,
say otherwise. So appreciative of that, but it's just
yeah.
amazing to be able to witness this, and it just makes it even a little. It makes it 10 times better that it's my team. So shout out to the boys, bro. Thunder up. The vibes. I'm wearing a Heat shirt today, but you know how
Thunder,
it is.
Thunder up. Yeah, D Wade, the Flash, of course.
Flash, of
But
course.
yeah, they're like I feel like if they get close to the record, they'll try and go for it, but they're not concerned with that. I think they're just trying to get a championship, bro. And I think
Hmm.
you did a good job of explaining that, man. Nuggets and Rockets were the only teams I was thinking of too.
Mhm.
So guess that's that puts a bow on that right now. Just watch out, bro. Thunder 23-1. I think they're playing the Suns
Mhm.
on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Mhm.
So it's the next game. Gotta watch out for that. But hey, man, I don't like talking about these cats, but I must. They're now third in the East. The Celtics renaissance, man. The Boston Celtics, bro, they surged back into contention in the Eastern Conference right now. It's just been fueled by an offensive explosion. I think they're number one in scoring efficiency over the last 5 games. I think they got a 133 offensive rating, which is bonkers. You're putting up 133 points per 100 possessions. Then they got a plus 18.8 net rating. Better than the Thunder over that span, which says a lot about how they're playing right now. Jaylen Brown is playing at an all-star level, bro. He's averaging 29 points per game this season. I think he's averaging the most mid-range points in the league too, which is, I mean, Mr. Hey, he's Jalen. You know, rub your head off, rub your hairline on your t-shirt, pull up in a mid-range Brown, man. I don't know what more I Lakers fan is gonna say, but y'all are balling out, bro. And props to Coach Joe Mazzulla, obviously turning around the way that the season was going and getting them to third right now. Props to Jaylen Brown and those boys. I think also Peyton Pritchard and Derek White have really stepped it up. I think over the last 5 games, Peyton Pritchard shooting about 40% from deep, and then Derek White shooting 48, so almost 50% from downtown, respectively. I mean, this team, man, God damn it, like they're hanging around, bro. No Jason Tatum. We saw what they did to get out of the apron. We talked about it in our offseason file, which is really cool because this was a minute ago now because they're a B,
Mhm.
so they're one of the first teams that we did. But to get out of the second apron, they got rid of Horford, got rid of Porzingis. They brought on Simons, guys like Nemias Queta, right? Jordan Walsh, right? Like these are the players that are helping the Celtics go on this run right now. I wouldn't even say it's Jaylen Brown and the main guys I just spoke about because it's just like dynasty. Like that's not where you're gonna win. Obviously, your all stars are gonna be all stars, but it's like who can you find that's gonna give your team value? And I
Mhm.
think the Celtics have been one of the best teams in the NBA to do so. Going back to their, you can debate it. This is interesting because we don't know, but if JT never went down with the Achilles injuries versus New York, who's not to say they don't win that series? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like if you don't think I think didn't he have like 40
He
when
had
he
40
went
and
down?
yeah.
Almost like 50. Like he was probably going for 50 that day, bro.
Yeah.
And then the Achilles, and that completely like fast forward all the way to now, right? And like I'm a Lakers fan. I hate talking about the Celtics, but y'all are hooping, man. And
Yeah.
we got to give credit where credit is due. You guys have gone from ninth or 10th in the East to third. I think a couple weeks back, CJ and I were talking about you guys going to get your first win,
Yeah.
right? And now obviously you guys are third in the East, and I think it's really a testament to how Mazzulla has coached his team so well. And like they found guys like Hugo Gonzalez again, Nemias Queta, and like other players to fill in the gaps this year. And I think they're all on cheap deals. And Brad Stevens and Mazzulla are a happily married couple right now. Their team is on fire, like I brought up already, but that net rating kind of speaks for itself, right?
Mhm.
Like they have the best net rating over the last 5 games, like better than the Thunder. That
Mhm.
speaks for itself. I don't need to explain any further, but I think as of right now, the Celtics are the most dangerous offensive team in the league over the last 5 games. That's what it says. And I think going forward this week, we got to watch out for them, bro. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously being such a hardcore Lakers fan, I'm not going to talk about them, but when they're playing this well, it's hard not to. And we
Mhm.
got to give them their props. I think they've done a really good job, bro. I think even though Anthony Simons hasn't played well, and they've had a couple guys where they've expected more out of, or they've expected more out of them, I just think that they're with the core that they've built. Again, they've built through the draft. They did that blueprint similar to the Thunder, where they were willing to go through that dark path for a little bit to draft a Jaylen Brown and draft a Jason Tatum and really wait out the tough years and build that core. And now it's provided, they've bared fruit from that tree, right?
Mhm.
It's the, the apple doesn't far from the tree. When greatness has happened before and you try to simulate it, most likely you'll get greatness again. And I think those two dynasties in itself, the Celtics dynasty is trying to rebuild itself while the Thunder is like an ongoing dynasty. But
Mhm.
if they're going to be third in the East, humming at this high of a clip on offense, I mean, who's not to say they can't go back to the Eastern Conference Finals, bro? I mean, right now, if you put them up against the Pistons, I'm sure that'd be one of the better games in the NBA right now. Just Detroit versus the Celtics, and um, I want to see where Boston ends up, bro. I don't know if they'll be the third seed
Yeah.
by the end of this year. I would bet against it, but I do think they finish top five, and I do think they put like that's not a team you want to cross by in the Eastern Conference playoffs. My God, like they're
For
they may not have a team, but like they're a seasoned
yeah.
vet like team who has a great core who can put up 130 points a night, and so anything can happen with the roster like this. But I did want to give them their props. I think they're also playing with a lot more pace. I think they're top 10 in pace over the last five, which again, for some reason they went away from that. Now Missoula's playing quicker and getting back to bombing threes. I just think it's good for Boston. So yeah, Celtics fans, that's your little bit on three-man weave, but you got to give credit where credit is due. 9-2 over the last 11 games. The only two losses, CJ, to who? The Nets
Nets and
and
Timberwolves.
the T-Wolves. There you go.
Hmm.
We went through it before we got on the pod, but yeah, bad loss versus the Nets. I don't know why you guys lost to the Nets. I think MPJ's been on a heater, so shout out to MPJ. But yeah, they're in a good spot. I think the Celtics are. They're right there, man. I
Yeah.
think they are. They're definitely. They got to be one of our storylines of the week just because of what they've been doing over the last 10 games.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this obviously is this like the picture perfect thing to happen for the Celtics now? I know you don't like to talk about it, but with going through this injury, obviously started off slow. Now they're kind of going back to the Celtics that we know and we
Celtics way, yeah.
came to realize the type of team they are. Obviously, they don't have all the big names, but just kind of the system they've implemented. I feel like it's kind of hard not to play hard basketball, go out there, play good defense, go out, shoot threes if you're open. I feel like that's kind of what they're going back to. That's why they've been so successful within the past couple of weeks or 2 weeks, whatever it may be. But I think it's the fact that they don't have JT, bro. Jaylen Brown is kind of coming into his own. It's interesting, like are they still contenders in the Eastern Conference?
In this bare of an Eastern Conference, I'd have to say, yeah, Jaylen Brown's looking at an All NBA season. I think Pritchard reached the Sixth Man of the Year, and Derek White giving you 20 a night. Yeah,
It's hard.
man. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
hard
anything
to.
can happen, and it's hard to overlook them. That's why we're bringing them up now. And I think we'll go in. I want to hear how you did last week in Dynasty, but it just makes the Trey Young, like the value conversation, even more of a
Hmm.
thing, right? Like when you talk about LaMelo Ball or Trey Young or like John Morant, like if your team isn't able to win around your superstar, obviously Jason Tatum's in a bit of a different conversation, but like if your team is able to win without your superstar, sorry, if they're able to win without your superstar, it just begs the question like how valuable are they? Not saying that Jason Tatum's not valuable. Obviously, he's one of the most valuable players in the league, but like for other superstars in this position whose teams haven't won a championship, because mind you, the Celtics have won a chip in the last 3 to 5 years, but the Hawks, nope. Grizzlies, nope. Hornets, nope. So it goes back to that question, like if the Celtics are going to be contenders, they're going to try to compete. They're not going to be in the middle. And if you're going to suck, you should suck. You got to stay on that side. You shouldn't be in the middle. So I think they're starting to become the Celtics that we know and love again. And I think they've always been a competitive team. This isn't new. And like I said, going back to what I said 8 minutes ago, but they could have won that series against the Knicks if he was healthy.
100%. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And it
Yeah.
would have been a different Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and maybe they would have gone to the finals versus the Thunder. You never know. So,
Hmm.
we just got to give credit where credit is due, man. I think it's just it imposes a bigger question on value because they're kind of showing how deep of a team that they are with no superstar or they're without their co-star. They have a star still, but
Right.
they're just showing you how good they are, man. So props to the Celtics.
Props to the Celtics, man. They always find a way. It seems like, huh?
Always. Always, brother. But
But
yeah, I mean, tell me about it last week, man.
last
How
week,
are you doing with Dynasty?
man, Dynasty got blown out, bro. Got lost by 300 or yeah, almost 300 points, 270. Bobby put up
Oh,
536 on me. I didn't even crack 300. I was at 265. Um Franz Wagner ended up getting injured during the game. and that was my last game I had for him on that my games to lock. Denny's been doing good for me. Julius Randle's been doing all right. I've been having so much injuries, bro. That's what's been killing me.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm going through it now, opposed to later on. Obviously, it could happen anytime during the season, obviously. But went on my good little 5-win streak. Now I'm on a two game losing streak. Obviously, it sucks. Don't want to go another week with losing. That's pushing a month of straight losses. Obviously, I'm losing in fantasy basketball or football as well. So, but this upcoming week, man, I'm going against Pobre Tomate. So he has Russ, of course. Every time I go against him, 64 points, 15, 11, 12 assists, triple double, two steals, one block. And it's gonna be a short week for a lot of us.
yeah,
Obviously I
yeah.
have Shea, I have AJ Mitchell, Casey Wallace. They are all only gonna be playing potentially one game this week. Um, and then I have Stephon Castle, who's going to be playing. He's back in my lineup, so that's going to be huge for me. But I've been having to have, Nikhil Alexander Walker put in a lot of minutes for me. Derek Queen having to do his thing. And I got Ananobi, who's making his way back into my lineup right now, coming off of injury. So I had Ananobi, Sabonis, Stephon Castle were injured. And then this week I ended up having to put Franz Wagner, and I think it was another one in my IR. Bilal Koulibaly. He hasn't been doing much for
Cool.
me, but he's another
He's still
player.
good.
He'll
He's still probably high trade value. Like he's
exactly. But it's been tough, bro. Going through injuries right now. Win against Bobby, who probably is gonna win the league just with the team he has. Tyrese Maxey,
yeah,
Cade. It's hard to. I was in one of those positions where I was like, man, I don't like I was getting greedy with my points because I'm like, man, I need my players to get like
do
70,
well.
like
Yeah, I
60,
can't just
70.
lock
Like there's
in.
no way
Yeah,
I could just lock in a 40 point
40
point. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it put me in a weird spot.
totally.
I haven't really had to go against another player that had so many like volume usage guys. So it's hard to. I'm realizing with my team, I don't have high usage guys. I have guys that do well, but guys that are kind of inconsistent in a sense of they could score a lot of points in a game, but they're not getting 30-point triple doubles, or they're not getting
Right.
a
And
double double. They'll
more
get,
steals.
yeah,
Yeah,
4 steals, 2 blocks, whatever it is. Like I'm getting guys that get buckets and can get to a lot of like actual points, but fantasy
points.
points is different. That's why I'm starting to realize with my team, like I have a good roster when healthy, mind you. I haven't had a healthy roster probably like 3 weeks, but I still was
Yeah,
able to scrape out some wins. But I think just that the first, or not this past week, the week before was definitely my fault. This week, I think it was just a matchup thing. He just has a better team than me. I didn't have enough players to be able to keep up with it, or I felt
yeah,
like I was in a spot where it was already a little too late for me to like, oh, I could get
right.
50. I could get 50 from you, 50 from you, but I'm gonna need like 80 from this guy if I'm a lot. You know what I mean? So mentality was a little different heading into this week, but I think I like my matchup this upcoming week. Obviously, with Russ getting him almost 70 points already, that's gonna be another big hole that I'm gonna have to dig out of. But we'll see, man. I think I have a good chances this week. Hopefully, I'll come back with a dub, man. Because like you were saying, man, just losing three 4 weeks
Yeah,
in
it's
a row,
not
bro. It's
fun.
not a good, doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth, especially when we started out how well I did. I got to keep that momentum up.
You had so much momentum. Yeah, boys. I mean, I got a W last week again. 3-4, put up 400 points on Everett, who I don't know what he was doing, but he seems like he's going for DeBansta. But De'Aaron Fox, bro, putting up 50, probably my best player last week. Edgecombe got 43 points, 46 from Flag, 45 from Holmgren. I mean, the Holmgren Cooper Flag trade is worked out a lot in my favor, I would say, just because I've been getting high production from them, so I can't complain. I was also able to pick up Ryan Nemhard this week on waivers, which I think is Like it's one of those things where like that separates dynasty teams, man. Like
I
he's
agree.
finding Ryan Nemhard for free, and he ends up contributing. He'll probably be in the lineup even when Kyrie comes back, type shit, because I
Mhm.
think he's that effective as a player and that helpful to that roster. But yeah, man, I was able to get a quick W. I think for me, I'm in a different spot than CJ. Right, I wasn't blistering. I wasn't 5-0, but I have to make some decisions, and I'm currently the 7th seed, and I think that's a little too high for me. I want to try to get a 9 through 12, probably most likely. I do play my brother, who I made the trade with. I said that on a pod that'll come out, but I made the trade with him, so I play him this week. He's projected to beat me, but 3-4. I didn't want to compete the last 2 weeks, and I was able to do that. Able to get a couple W's in my favor just to get off that one win because I didn't like that. But now I got 3 wins under my belt. I feel like I might sacrifice this week and just lock in some zeros. I just don't think I have the firepower for Jokic and Durant.
Mhm.
Barring obviously injury or something like that. I've actually been surprisingly healthy. Kelly Oubre has been the only hurt guy for me. I think I also had somebody else. I think Sorber's on my IR, but he's out for the season, so
Right.
he's not going. And yeah, boys, I think I'm just in a good spot for like where I want to be. I got the first round picks the next 3 years. I got a decent team that can compete. Like my team is one of the better teams in the league, but I am making conscious decisions. Like I'm not a championship team, so I'm not a top 3 team, but I'm a top 5, top 6, which means I'm middle of the pack, which means I want to go to the bottom because there's no reason to be in the middle of the pack. But I am a team that'll give you 400 to 450 on any given week. And I think that kind of speaks to the type of team I've built. Even making that trade, my team is still able to put up more than 400 points. And the way that fantasy points work in our league is like if you're scoring more than 400, you got a chance to win.
Mhm. No, 100%, bro. That's been. I feel like that I was getting lucky with my matchups at the beginning of the year. So we'll see what my team's really made of, bro. Especially with these injuries and got a lot going on, a lot at stake. We trying to win that swing, man. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, boy, who would you go with? Probably.
Uh, I don't know, man. I kind of
I was
want.
thinking about that.
I would probably like. I want to stick with the Thunder, but I'm not gonna lie.
We got
But
AJ Mitchell.
yeah, but like before Franz Wagner getting injured, probably Franz, just because I feel like that would be a hard one. The new
Magic.
version of like their
State.
pinstripe one.
Mhm.
I think
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I'm
like
talking
the
about.
2025
Mm-hmm.
26 version. Yeah,
That one's kind of
yeah.
clean. Plus,
The one he got hurt in,
I
unfortunately.
know. So he tore his pec muscle literally that yesterday last year.
Oh
His
wow. Okay,
oblique
like a year ago
a year ago
yesterday. Yeah.
yesterday. They're like, man, please don't play Franz Wagner on
Wow.
December 7th.
Yeah,
But
no. Okay, yeah. We need Franz healthy. Magic have been playing way better
mhm.
anyway, so that's interesting. But yeah, man, anything else you wanted to add, bro? I feel like this was a good pot.
Nah, man. We're trying to stay consistent.
Doing our best. Yeah.
stay in tune with the games. But yeah, no, just watch basketball, bro. We've been saying it all season. We're gonna keep reiterating it at the end of each podcast because we're able to chop
I
it
don't
up
watch enough
about
hoops.
hoops and just seeing just the progression of all these players. Seeing oh, last year this is what this player is looking like. Now they took this leap, and it's dope. Obviously that's what it's like in any sport, but being able to do it with the sport that you love and you played growing up, it just makes it a little bit better. So that's all I gotta say, bro. Was there anything else you
There
wanted
you
to
go,
say?
man. Yeah, I mean, Luka Lakers Wednesday night. Wemby comes to town, and I actually think
Are y'all
we're at
going?
home. Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah, I was gonna
Wemby
say I
comes to
think you're at
town.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, we're at home. I'm tweaking, but should be a good matchup, and we'll see. I think I'm gonna try to tap in with some of the games on Prime. I might like rewatch some of the Spurs. I think the Spurs are blowing out the Pelicans, but I was gonna try to watch that game just to get a little read on how their team is playing. If
Mm.
they're playing that poorly defensively, I think we'll be able to blitz them, and hopefully, we'll talk about it on Wednesday, but we'll see, man. I think Celtics doing well, so NBA's flipped upside down on its head. I don't know. Like you said, just watch more hoops, bro. Obviously, the holidays are coming up. Make sure you spend time with your family. Buy yourself a gift if you can't, get one from your fam, and then if you are getting one from your fam, make sure you get what you want because Santa don't come to everyone.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's gonna do it for the boys over here at Three Man Weed. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch y'all next time, man.
Peace.
Peace. Three man, three man.
Three man.